having a life scholarship and being able to afford to go to college made me feel inspired to go.
When I got a life scholarship, it was such a relief.
I knew that I wanted to have an impact. Having a life scholarship through the SC Education Lottery was huge. It gave me the opportunity to make that impact right here at home.
The South Carolina Education Lottery. A better you, a better us, a better South Carolina. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? Jane Austen died in 1817, yet 200 years later she is causing havoc for one writer. Amber and Scott discuss Jane Austen Wrecked My Life. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
So now, I don't believe we've seen a French romantic comedy in this run so far. And now I know that a French romantic comedy generally is neither particularly romantic nor particularly comedic.
Oh, that's so funny you would say that. I completely disagree. I laughed at this movie a lot, and I thought you laughed a couple times too. And this was far funnier than movies that are actually marketed as actual comedies.
Now, don't get me wrong, I liked the movie. And it had a couple points, but I kind of felt like I don't know. And maybe some of it's translation, probably.
Alrighty, folks, welcome to today's episode. We are talking about Jane Austen Wrecked My Life. A desperately single bookseller finds herself forced to fulfill her dreams of becoming a writer in order to stop messing up her own love life. So, in short, we have our main character, Agate, and she gets writer's block, and she starts stories and she doesn't finish them. And she finally gets this one story going, and her guy friend sends it off to a kind of a writer's retreat, writer's camp kind of a thing. And they accept her and they invite her, and she doesn't want to go because she has a fear of cars because her parents died in a car crash when she was younger. So
she was in the car with her parents when they died.
Yeah.
I could see that
Sure.
having a little trauma associated with it.
Yes, important point. Thank you for pointing that out. So anyway, her friend Felix drives her to the writer's retreat, which is run by distant relatives of Jane Austen. And for those who don't know, she was the writer of many, many books, including Sense and Sensibility, and was one of the figures to change, female roles in books and make them strong and powerful and not just there to serve at the whim. So they settle, there's a couple of writers, they all settle in at this retreat, and there is a guy who is I think it was great nephew of Jane Austen, who very begrudgingly participates in this whole thing, doesn't like Jane Austen, used to be a literature professor, but this retreat is run by his mom and dad, and he's there helping out because his dad is getting a little wacky. And little wacky by some form of aging related mental deterioration. So she is there, and she's supposed to be working on her book and giving this reading of it towards the end of the camp, which is, I think it was 2 weeks. And turns out she's telling everyone she's writing, but she's not writing. And at the same time, she has this kind of off and on flirty thing with Oliver, the son of the people who run this, but also too, before she went to the camp, her BFF Felix planted a big soft wet kiss on her, and she's also thinking about that because she hasn't been with anyone for 2 years. They've been friends for a long time.
I think she planted it on Felix.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. Yeah. Because that's the thing. Like, here's the thing. It's creepy if you're the guy and you go out of nowhere, especially in a situation like that. But if you're the girl, it's not as creepy. And that's just gender stuff.
I think he did, but I don't have a strong recollection. She definitely kissed Oliver at the end, though. So anyway, so she kind of has this flirty thing with the guy there, but she's also thinking about Felix and what this means because they've been friends for so long. And let's go ahead and dig in.
Or maybe not. Maybe he went for the first quick kiss, and then she went in for the second one. Like okay, it's fine. Okay, so what would you do? I'm going to start with the one that's most prominent on my mind. If I have just met someone and I've been around them, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, maybe more, I don't really know the person, and I'm getting some bad vibes from them, I'm not going to talk shit about them in another language, assuming that they don't speak that language.
Yeah, she speaks French. This movie dips in and out of English and French, and our character Oliver speaks English to her because she's capable of speaking English, and she's talking on the phone in French. And turns out Oliver used to have a wife who is French and knows French. So yeah, don't ever assume that. And also too, okay, so number one, don't assume that someone doesn't speak a language and then you can just say what the heck you want about them. But number two, don't speak another language in front of people who don't speak that language. It is rude.
I really want to learn Armenian. I'm not going to, but I really want to learn Armenian just so I can know what people around me are saying.
I had a job once, and I had a gal who worked for me, and we were in this kind of bullpit style type department. And she would get calls throughout the day, and she would speak French. Ironically, it was also French. And it was really uncomfortable where she would have these long, prolonged conversations during the course of work in French. And I'm like, are you just BSing talking about makeup? Like, what are you talking about?
Now,
and it just...
Hang on.
Because it was with the intention of, like, I don't want you to hear what I'm talking about.
Okay, so I'm going to refute that. Okay. You said you don't know who she's on the phone with, right?
It was likely her mom, because I know her mom spoke French, too.
Okay, so my grandmother spoke English, perfect English.
It's not that her mom only spoke French. It's just they knew how to.
Well, but you know,
French.
So you know she's on the phone with her mom.
Pretty confident, yeah.
I mean, because whenever my grandmother got on the phone with my great grandmother, all of a sudden she's speaking Czech, and I remember being very amused by the fact that she just swapped languages into Czech, and then that's the only time she ever spoke it. But it's because my great grandmother only spoke Czech.
Right.
So, so it is, and that's the thing. If it's like an on the phone situation and I don't know who's on the other end, I tend to not be judgmental just because they could be speaking to someone who literally doesn't. Now, yes, if two people speak English and then all of a sudden they switch to another language, like, I don't know, Armenian.
Yeah, they don't want you, any language. They are intentionally deciding that, hey, I don't want you to understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't want to be that right-wing guy, but this is America.
Oh,
we speak American in America.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So another, what would you do? Is something that actually I bet you can talk to pretty well. Is what would you do if you were best friends with someone of the opposite sex, and then they make a move and give you a kiss, and then you don't talk to them for a little while, and you're pondering, what do I make of that? What was that? Because you've been friends for a long time.
For one, I kind of hate it because anytime I see this, I feel like it gives just full credence to the whole Harry met Sally argument.
That men and women can't be friends?
Yeah. Which, as you know, I think is complete bullcrap.
Yeah, because all of Scott's friends are women.
That is
past girlfriends, usually.
But, I mean, it just depends. I mean, I have had female friends that if they had ever shown any romantic inkling towards me, I I would have definitely, I would have shown it back. I've had other ones too that if they had shown it, I would have been like, no. So, and that's the thing, is it totally depends on who the person is. I mean, theoretically, you know that person well, and
yeah. In this case, I got the impression she had known Felix for, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so. Seemed like a long time.
See, that's the thing. People talk about, well, I need to be friends with someone first before I can be romantic with them. No. I think the more you get to know somebody, the less likely you are to fall in love with them. Because especially if they get really comfortable around you.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Is like, I don't know. I mean,
well, and to some people, that actually is the allure. Is you don't have to worry about putting on that facade and playing games or whatever. You are with the person who knows you, that you act yourself with, that they act themselves, and you're completely comfortable, and you skip past those first couple of months or year or so of dating, and you are just in the comfort zone. And some people like being able to get to that point.
If you are looking for a life companion and someone who just you can spend the rest of your life with, but you're not necessarily like looking for a love match, sure. But like for me, like those rose-colored glasses you have at the beginning of a relationship, those are important. Because yes, they do dim over time, but they never completely fade. Like, you need that time that you remembered that I met this girl or guy and I was just madly head over heels in love with them. And I feel like if you don't have that, you miss out in the relationship.
Riley Herbst from 2311 Racing here. And you know what grinds my gears? Waiting for coffee. But instead of counting frappes and lattes, I fire up Chumba Casino. No apps, no fuss, just fun social casino games to pass the time. By the time my coffee's ready,
order for Riley.
I've already taken a few victory laps. Next time you're stuck waiting, make it entertaining. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
It only takes a little bit to go wrong.
I mean, that you get the courtship time in an actual romantic relationship that starts off as with some degree of pursuit and, you know, will they or won't they, will she or won't she kind of a thing. And that definitely creates a different dynamic.
Yeah. So I've, like nobody that I've ever dated, now with one exception, nobody I've ever dated has been someone that I was friends with first. And even in the one exception, it was barely an exception. It actually was someone I did meet on a dating site, but I met them in a location that was not conducive to dating. And I was under the impression when we first met that we were just kind of, it was a more looking for friends type thing, hanging out, being pals. And when I left town, I'm like, okay, we can be just pals. And they were like, hang on. When we met on a dating site, we should give that a try. Okay. That's the closest I've ever gotten. And even then, it's not like I knew that person well. I had friend zoned them in my brain and then had to bring them out of the friend zone.
So in the course of the film, we have our character Oliver, who is the son of the Jane Austen retreat home where all the writers are. And he obviously is interested in Agate, and she kind of is still interested in him, even though she's still mulling over of what do I do with this Felix situation. So,
I mean, it didn't hurt that she like took off all her clothes and walked into his room.
Okay, well, that was an accident.
But she still took off all her clothes and walked into his room, whether it was accident or not.
Yeah, if there's a door separating rooms in a house that you're not familiar with, do be careful if you walk around naked. So anyway.
So it is kind of weird to have two bedrooms that were just joined by one door.
No, it's not. I've been in places like that.
I mean, hotels.
Well, I think it's also a little bit more common in
older homes.
Well, foreign homes. I mean, we're here in the United States. They were somewhere where they drive on the wrong side of the road or have the steering wheel on the wrong side of the car. So anyway, so Oliver sees all of this, and then Felix comes for this. They have this night with a ball, and he's like kind of like, oh, okay, well, there's a guy here. Is this the boyfriend? And he actually walks in on them when Felix first comes to visit her, and he walks in to bring her breakfast, and because they kind of had a moment the night before, and then all of a sudden it's like, who is this guy? What is going on? I thought I had a connection with this girl, and now there's this guy here that's now taking the breakfast from me for the girl that I prepared it for. And have you ever been in a situation like that where you think there's something happening, but then a guy kind of comes out of the woodwork, and then you're like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yes, I have actually on multiple occasions.
Okay, so what would you do if you were in Oliver's shoes in that case? That's a big long sigh.
Yeah, because I don't think there's necessarily a set answer. This is another one of those you have to kind of read the room situations. I mean, I'm probably just going to play it cool when the guy's around. And at some point, I'm going to get the girl aside and be like, hey, listen, I'm totally fine with whatever this is, but is there something going on there that means I need to stay away? Because I want to be respectful, but I also want to snog you. So I just need to know which path to go down.
That's funny you used the word snog, because she used the word snog, and I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, well, yes, because they were over in Britain, so I had to say snog.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, our character Oliver doesn't really have that forthright conversation. He shows up at the ball that Felix is there to attend with Agate, and starts dancing with her, and they kind of have all this awkwardness. And long story short, Agate does sleep with Felix and realizes, yeah, we're just supposed to be friends.
Yeah, and if you haven't had sex in 2 years, and that's the feeling you get after having sex, you definitely have the wrong person. No question. Though, I will say, on the what would you do on Oliver's side, I applaud him that when he took Agate back to her room because she was kind of sort of shit-faced drunk.
Oh, yeah.
And
she wanted some
she wanted to end that two-year thing right then and there. And he's like, nah, not really my thing to, bang a girl the first time when she's shit-faced, which is, I mean,
that is refreshing.
You and I have had separate conversations about this, and you know that I feel extremely strongly.
Yeah.
About that to the point that I have been in that exact situation and did not.
Yay. It's kind of funny that this is something now that guys get credit for. Well, because it was something that wasn't even an issue in the past. You're like, oh, well, whatever. She was there. She was willing. Well, and it's only in sadly recent years that this is something that's even a discussion point that, if a woman is impaired, she's not capable of making good decisions and using good judgment, and that doesn't necessarily constitute a yes.
Yeah, so that's the thing, too. I mean, but you do have to think about this. I mean, if you're out with someone who you do have romantic interest in,
don't get them drunk.
And
I mean, guys of yesteryear would get someone drunk so they can get a sure thing.
We go back to her place, and she's like, I want you in me. And you're like, I kind of want the same thing too. It honestly, it's not an easy no. That was the only time, I believe it's the only time I've ever truly been in that situation. That was not an easy no, because she was trying to convince me, and I'm like, we can mess around a little bit, but as far as doing that, not when you're drunk.
Yeah, and that's actually a twofold thing, because not only is that not a situation that a woman should be taken advantage of, it's also a situation that a guy can be accused of doing something that maybe isn't completely accurate, because there's fuzzy memories and recollections there and whatnot, and someone could think a woman could potentially give consent, not remember it, and then have regret. And regret doesn't equal rape. Regret does not equal sexual assault. So there's all kinds of complications in there. So just stay clear if you're the guy or the girl.
I mean, let me tell you, I guarantee you in my life, A, I've had regret, and B, someone I've been with has had regret at the end of it. And yeah, that's a sucky one to walk away from. She's like, wow, why did I again? Ugh.
That's awkward.
Yeah. But yeah, no, don't drink and fuck. At least not the first time. Now, the only time that I would actually be okay with that, and which is kind of weird for it to happen on the first time, is if I was going out with someone and while she is sober, she says, listen, I am probably going to get drunk and want to screw your brains out. That's cool if that happens. At least then, if I've gotten the early consent,
sober consent. Yeah.
The sober consent beforehand, but that's not going to happen if you haven't slept with that person before.
Some people are forward. It could happen.
I don't know. I've never had.
I mean, I guess in a guy's dreams, it could happen.
Yeah, no. I mean, in reality, no.
Yeah, definitely stay away from drunk sex. It's complicated.
Okay, so other things I would not do. I would not recite poetry in the garden without pants when I know that there's a bunch of other people, primarily women, around.
Well, and that's Oliver's dad, and there's obviously some mental deterioration going on there, so I don't think he can be held accountable for his actions. So.
I still wouldn't do it.
Well, I don't think he was really aware of what he was doing. That was kind of the point, is there was things happening that he wasn't necessarily making conscious decisions to do. So that is an unfortunate side effect of aging sometimes.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else I would or wouldn't do. I think I'm about dry on this one.
This is a compelling ending. I don't know. You got anything? No. Yeah. You got anything else? No.
We can't all be winners.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.
Having a life scholarship and being able to afford to go to college made me feel inspired to go.
When I got a life scholarship, it was such a relief.
I knew that I wanted to have an impact. Having a life scholarship through the SC Education Lottery was huge. It gave me the opportunity to make that impact right here at home.
The South Carolina Education Lottery. A better you, a better us, a better South Carolina. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Riley Herbst from 2311 Racing here, and you know what grinds my gears? Waiting for coffee. But instead of counting frappes and lattes, I fire up Chumba Casino. No apps, no fuss, just fun social casino games to pass the time. By the time my coffee's ready,
order for Riley.
I've already taken a few victory laps. Next time you're stuck waiting, make it entertaining. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.